It's one of Australia's major tourism conventions. Hundreds of industry operators and executives are meeting to address the future of one of the country's biggest exports at a time of international concern about the growing impact of climate change.
Travel's carbon emissions are increasingly at the fore of the discussion of the world reeling from natural disaster to natural disaster. Here there was black summer bushfires, there was floods, there was cyclones. There was also widespread bleaching on the reef, which is again happening right at the moment. And all of those have ensured that carbon and the impact of global warming is really poignant right now.
It's not only the big tour operators and iconic landscapes that are suffering from the effects of climate change. Much smaller attractions are also under threat. It's feeding time at Mudgeroo Emu Farm on the New South Wales south coast, where husband and wife team Phil and Belinda Donovan run a small wildlife sanctuary. 4 years ago, their animal refuge, which survives largely on voluntary donations from visitors, came dangerously close to a wall of flame.
Yeah, absolutely. The south coast and all of Australia now is pretty commonly exposed to bushfires and floods, and we've experienced the risk in, all the catastrophes that come. It was very dangerous in that 2019-2020 summer. We had fires approaching on two sides. The other side was the ocean. So we were essentially in the middle if the fire was not going to be controlled.
Thankfully, the sanctuary and the emus remained unscathed, but many other tourist sites across Australia continue to fall victim to the march of extreme weather events. The fear is that news of fires and floods could have a negative impact on an industry that prides itself on selling its pristine environment to the world.
Yeah, I think Australia really could lose a lot because tourism is one of our, it's a very important part of the economy and it's one of our top exports. Actually, education-related travel combined with personal travel is worth more exports than natural gas. So if people do start to think that it's dangerous to come to, that could really impact us.
Australia's Climate Council, which predicts many more intensive weather systems to come, believes it's not too late to counter the threat.
We are a remarkable continent with amazing things that people experience, but protecting that industry, protecting the people and places we love, that is very much going to depend on the choices we make now. And every ton of carbon pollution we leave in the ground, that's protecting tourism, it's protecting everything we depend upon.
Fortunately, the news is not all negative, with spending by overseas tourists tipped to well exceed pre-pandemic levels this year. The key to the industry's long-term success is a strong commitment to sustainability, lower carbon emissions and greater protection of the environment on which tourism depends. A framework for the future that covers people, profit and the planet.
We need to balance the triple bottom line and we need to ensure that we're competitive in the right areas for economic growth while protecting the potential for future generations of residents and visitors alike.
While Australia's tourism continues to grow, there are clearly concerns about the long-term impact of climate change and how to keep the industry sustainable. With tourism such a massive export earner, a lot depends on keeping those visitor numbers rising. Maynard, CNA, Sydney.